The Japanese economic miracle, a term used to describe Japan's record period of economic growth between 1955 and 1991. Coming out of World War II, the nation experienced sustained and rapid expansion, averaging 6% annual growth. Japan's GDP in the second quarter of this year expanded by 6%, reminding the country of its miraculous past.
Japan is now experiencing what many other mature economies have experienced after all restrictions created during COVID were lifted. You have a combination of this happening in particular just ahead of the season for tourism. So on one hand, you have tourism that contributed to get the Japanese economy bouncing back from what had already been a period of relative calm because of still some minor restrictions. And then the second element is the fact that the Japanese yen was weaker, and that contributed to a higher than anticipated volume of the exports.
But the feeling of hope that Japan had returned to those better days was quickly quelled by export data. The figure fell in July year on year by 0.3% for the first time in more than 2 years. It's down to weaker demand from its biggest single trading partner, China, making up 20% of its total exports, as well as low demand from the rest of Asia, which accounts for 50%. Analysts say that Japan has various obstacles that make hitting sustained growth challenging.
What we can expect is perhaps this being the outliers data, if you want, rather than a sign of a sustainable economic growth. The growth will be much slower, and that is indeed due to relatively low inflation rates and a slow, if you want, growth in the demand domestically.
The Japanese government is hoping to incentivize spending by raising wages, successfully urging Japanese firms to offer a hike of more than 3.5% this year, the biggest pay rises in 3 decades. The Bank of Japan is also keeping an ultra-loose interest rate at negative 0.1% to stimulate borrowing, which, while keeping the yen low and competitive, risks following much of the industrialized world down a path of ever-increasing inflation. Emre Boz, TRT World.